The people of the First Nations of North America played lots of games before the Europeans got here. Many of these games were tests of physical dexterity, skill with projectile weapons and targets, or even team sports. It seems that in the early days, it was the women who devised what we would call board games. For many generations, the Kiowa people in the central part of North America played a game called Zohn Ahl. The word Zohn signifies the water features on the game board, and the word Ahl means wood, which represents the wooden sticks used for randomization, and in some cases they use sticks stuck in the ground to indicate the position of the racing pieces around the track. Similar games and variants were played by the Comanche, by the Arapaho, by the Zuni and Pueblo, and they call it by various names. One of the more common alternate names is Zohn. They were played with the usual variations, different number of spaces on the board, different movement, even different pieces, but they were essentially all played the same as a basic race game. The boards were created in a lot of different configurations. They were either square, which was more popular in the south, or a circular board, which was more popular in the northern parts of Kiowa territory. And a very popular way was to use a circle of rocks, each rock signifying one of the stops along the race. They used shorter sticks, or beads or beans, or something of the like, to keep score. The peg pastimes version, which you see here, we have the pegboard with the circular track. We have the major features on the board, the set of 4 stick dice, and we're using plastic chips for the scorekeeping. So all of the elements are represented here in this pegboard version of the game. Now the rules that we use in our version are based on those recorded by Stuart Coolin in 1908 in his big 2-volume work, Games of the North American Indians. And it seems to be the de facto standard for how to play the game. But the set of rules here represent how the game was played by most of the Kiowa and Comanche tribes. 2 teams or individuals sit on opposite sides of the board, and the turn-taking goes leftward around the circle of players. In a team situation, this means that all the members of one team take a series of turns, then all the members of the other team. I suppose this would give the first team a statistical advantage, but because the game is completely dependent on randomness, I guess that would make it less significant. Be that as it may, let's learn the game with just 2 players. The features of the board are the obvious circle of spaces. The most significant feature other than that is the stream, also called a creek or river. This stream flows from the far side of the board towards the starting spaces. The complement to the stream is a dry riverbed or ravine, and the semicircles represent hills. Remarkably, none of the other features of the board affect the gameplay at all. They're only there to facilitate counting spaces. Each player starts with a peg and 4 scoring chips. One of the 4 stick dice is marked in green and grants certain bonuses when it lands face up. This stick is called the Sahe, which means green in the Kiowa language. The players take turns dropping the stick dice, and the first player to get the Sahe goes first. This player chooses which side of the stream to start on. The pegs will be moved in opposite directions around the path. On each turn, the active player will drop the stick dice. Traditionally, the dice are dropped onto a flat stone at the center of the game board, but that doesn't work so well with this peg game version. Dropping the stick dice will yield 5 possible outcomes. Each flat side upward is a move of 1, except 4 up, which is a move of 6 spaces along the path. If all 4 sticks are face down, that's 10 spaces. And if the green stick is face up, that grants the thrower another turn. Once the active player has moved their peg according to the dice, the other player does likewise. Landing on the space on the opposite side of the board, which is on the same side as your starting space, means that you fall into the stream. The stream takes you back to your starting space, and you must start the current lap around the track again. When this happens, you must also give your opponent one of your scoring chips. If you should end a turn on the same space as your opponent's peg, the opponent's peg is sent back to their starting space, and they must pay you one scoring chip. And finally, every time you pass your starting space, making a lap around the board, you take a scoring chip from your opponent. There are two ways to win this race. You can win by making 4 laps around the board, which is done by passing your starting space 4 times, or you win instantly if you gain possession of all 8 scoring chips. So that's the way the game is played. You toss the dice, you move your piece, you hope you don't fall into the stream, and you hope you land on your opponent's piece on the way by. I looked around on the web to see if I could find a commercial version of the game, and I found this German version here that was published some time ago as part of a Games of the World series. There was nothing else on the Board Game Geek database. I found a few on craft sites and Etsy and so on that people are making. There are probably some kits available. So at the moment, while I'm recording this video, the New Venture Peg Pastimes version is subject of a Kickstarter campaign, and hopefully we'll be able to bring that to the market, and you'll be able to get a version of Zohn Ahl through our New Venture website. So if you're looking for a race game that is heavily dependent on the throw of the dice, this is a really great candidate for that. It's quick and easy to set up, and easy to teach and easy to play. I think the team aspect of Zohn Ahl is interesting. A lot of games are better when it's in a party atmosphere, and so therefore, when you got teams going on, it gets a little more exciting, even a game that's so heavily dependent on randomness. So give Zohn Ahl a try, and whatever you play, be sure to play every day.